Stage Charles Lim and Arthur C. Brooks.
Thanks for these beautiful presentations. Really informative and really touching my heart as a former musician, to be sure. We have a little bit of time now to hear what's on your mind. We've covered a lot of ground over the last hour, and we want to hear what questions that you have, comments that you have. We have a few minutes to do that before we go on with our program. We have 2 mics, so if you have something to say, please. And the important thing about the mic, despite the fact that we all hear each other in here, is that we have 20,000 of our closest friends who are watching online. So please do use the mic. And as you're thinking about that, let me start with the moderator's prerogative and ask the following question. These beautiful presentations talk an awful lot about the happiness that comes from people listening to music, consuming music. What is the neurological and behavioral difference in happiness between playing music and listening to music?
That's a very deep and long question. Let me try to...
And our time is finished.
I think about it in terms of directionality, but also the level of passivity that one can have. So I think as a listener, you're an intake valve. And actually, I think of the brain this way. The brain is doing a few things. A large part of it is just taking in information. So if you think about the role of the brain, a large part is just gathering data. And so as a listener of music, that's what you're doing. You're gathering the data of the musical thing. And then you're reacting to it, you're processing it. Now, playing music is an entirely different thing because it's based on a lot of not just who you are, but your training, your practice, your sort of skill set that's been involved. And then somehow taking this kind of very motorically complicated thing, cognitively challenging thing, yet making it seem effortless as a musician so that you're conveying an emotion. And so I think that there's a different directionality to the output of it as opposed to the input of it. And the neurobiology of that is just really being worked out now, but you can start to see the difference between the input and output arcs for music.
If you were, as a practicing scientist, if you were to, as a physician, if you were to prescribe for greater happiness to somebody an intervention that would have maximum efficacy in minimum time, would you recommend that they play a song or listen to a song?
Okay, if you have zero musical background ever, I might tell you...
Don't try to play.
Yeah, no, I might tell you to listen. But actually, if you are open-minded, I tell you to try to write a melody for the first time in your life if you've never done it.
Yes.
Behaviorally, what's the difference between them?
I always think, as a music therapist, my job is to manipulate the music, right? I'm looking at you and I'm responding to you musically. It's a musical conversation. And so I agree. And even if you don't have any musical expertise, sing. Sing in the shower. Sing somewhere. Engage in music. Because that risk-taking helps to decrease fear. And when you decrease fear, you give more opportunity for self-love.
So should you sing in front of another person, despite the fact that you can't even carry a tune?
I don't think you need to, but there's something in making music with others, right, that helps us not be alone. Think about festivals, right? There are people who go to these wonderful electronic music festivals, and everyone together, or at a concert, you are all experiencing it. And the likelihood is you're going to hum along, you're going to sing along. And it's that avenue of not being alone. It's being together in music. So actively making music, listening is beautiful. Actively making is beautiful too.
We have a question from the audience, from Anita, who has a question for us about people trying to go in a completely new direction and trying something new. Of course, that's what I was talking about in my talk, but this is what we're discussing right here in terms of music. Is learning new skills per se important for the brain? Is learning about music per se, the progress itself, actually the key to the happiness? Is this what you find in your intervention as a music therapist, and this is what you find as a neuroscientist?
Yeah, I'll tell you that from my perspective, you have to be engaged in life. Every day you have to be engaged. And music is a robust stimulus. If you actually look at the brain while you're listening to music, the entire brain is active. If you want a natural stimulant for your brain that's cognitively challenging and engaging, there's nothing better than music. And so yes, I would say learning not just a new skill, but a musical new skill. There's no reason why only kids should get the music lessons.
Huh. You agree?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
Very
yeah,
much
yeah.
so.
Ken Burns, the wonderful filmmaker, who has a new documentary on Benjamin Franklin. I interviewed him for my happiness column that comes out this Thursday, as a matter of fact. And I asked him, what is Benjamin Franklin's definition of happiness? And he said, lifelong learning in pursuit of self-improvement, which is what you both just told me. You're both just Benjamin Franklin, aren't you? I guess we all should be so lucky. We have one, we're going to finish off this session with a live question. The mic is yours.
Hi, thank you. First of all, kudos to each of you for fantastic presentations. I'm really taken by the notion of the happiness 401k, and I saw like lots of heads of approximately my age, bobbing along as we're all thinking about, how to get on that second curve.
Yeah.
How would you translate this information to impart it to a younger audience so that there could be some, maybe preemptive preparation for, for making that transition and understanding that life is going to have at least a couple of curves along the way?
Yeah, one of the beautiful things about happiness that we find is that whereas the 401k plan for your money requires current deferral of gratification, it requires current sacrifice, the 401k for happiness actually makes you happier all along the way. It's a win-win. There is no sacrifice. And so you can not leave your happiness up to chance. There's things that you can do that remarkably change your odds of being happier at 75 than you were at 25, that you can start when you're 25 or 45 or 65. And no matter when you start, the better off you actually get. There is literally, with proper happiness hygiene, no way to lose. And that's how I talk about it with my students. And they're not just Harvard Business School students. I talk about it with students all over the country. It's the quintessential win-win of a transcendental life. My friends, we've come to the end of this session, appropriately ending on music, which is the most beautiful thing that I've ever experienced, and I know that you've all enjoyed it as well. We're going to go on to adventure after adventure in our own search for, as seekers of happiness, the kinds of things that we can learn for ourselves and pass on to other people. So we'll go on with our program today. Please join me in thanking our two wonderful speakers.